And ready? Here we go. And you're live. Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Hello, everybody. Yeah. Tonight we got another great show. Yep, we are live. Yes. Welcome to the show. Another show about the lost book of King Og. And tonight my co-host ISBE and me and him are going to do a great show for you. We're going to start out right. What do you got to say for us tonight?
Am I on mute?
No, you are not on mute. I can hear you just as well as anything.
I can't hear me.
Well, I don't know if you're supposed to hear you, but I can hear you, and I think everybody else can hear you. We got a lot of people coming in. What do you got to say to everybody tonight?
Hello, everybody. Much favor be upon all of you, and good health too.
Absolutely.
I love you all. Thanks for showing up.
As Lucky Smith says, the Soul Tribe is prospering. I am prospering. We are all prospering together. Thank you, Soul Tribe. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you, Poyel. And thank you, Lucky Smith. We got Gaza from Gaza's backyard in the house. Max Vision. Gaia's in the house too tonight. Yes, guys. And of course, Robert V. Deborah Sloan. Linda Brooks, who's been joining us on Native American Myths and Legends, bringing her intuition on the Native Americans, because she's part Cherokee, I guess. Is it Chickamauga? That's it. Project Skyfalls. Thank you for coming. Much love, much love. And Big Al, who's on the road somewhere in Arkansas or maybe past there by now. And let's see, who else do we got? That's all I can see in the chat right now. And if you're watching and you're not in the chat, that's all right too, because you are awesome. I am awesome. ISBE is awesome. And we are going to have an awesome show for you tonight. Aren't we?
Yep.
Okay.
Any update? Right in then, huh?
Yeah, well, I'll just give them some updates. I'm snowed in North Dakota today. It is a blizzard here. I got drifts that are tall, 3-4 feet taller than the car outside. I got snow piled up, snowed in the door snowed in. It was crazy snow. So while you were all out there in some other state soaking up the sunshine in the middle of April, I'm here in a blizzard, snowed in. Go figure. All right.
Yeah.
What's happening in your part of the country? Why don't you send me some sunshine, ISBE, from sunny Florida?
Oh, okay. Now, I always wonder how you get out your door if the snow's higher than your door, though.
Well, I managed to bring the shovel in first. That's how you get out. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I brought the shovel in first. Okay, I think what you need to tell me what page that was. 30?
33.
33. Okay. And there we go. Okay, 33, and I'm going to enlarge this. And we could be all set. We got it.
Oh man.
We got what? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like you got quite the pyramid sitting right here. What's that big pyramid that we're looking at? The pyramid. Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you get that?
I'm trying to remember who it was. Amber Dunn, I think, or somebody sent it to me.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Or it might have been Julie, Jules or someone like that.
Oh, okay. Awesome. But that's a very.
I love that thing.
Yeah. What's her name? Makes them. She makes the rods raw. Oh God, I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Oh my gosh, my brain is fried.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's her? At the top of my head, Marsha Price. That's right, Marsha Price. She makes those pyramids up really nice.
Yeah,
And
that's who it was, Marsha Price, I guess.
we appreciate Marsha very much.
Yeah.
And thank you to Marsha for making those. That is her gift to the world, is making those things. I haven't seen Marsha in a while, but or heard from her much, but I hope she's doing well and everything. So where do we want to start out here? Right at the first part? I got it pulled up.
Vision's in the house too, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he is. I can't see him right now. I don't have the thing up. So you're watching the screens here. I can't until give me a minute or two and I'll figure it out. Okay, do you want to start off or do you want me to?
Tallow, the simple giant. Tallow who'd had his head wounded as a child. Tallow whose forehead was a wall, but whose skull is sunken. Tallow opened himself completely to the Dark Ones and was rarely in control of himself. Tallow who spoke to all with the mind and voice of a Dark One, and served Baal of the earth, Tallow who allowed no razor come to his head or face. Tallow's army was 425 giants. Whoa.
That's a pretty big army. That is. Okay. And Reka, the empty head. First we went one what's got a sunken head. Now we got Reka, the empty head. Reka, whose Dark Ones completely controlled him. Reka, who was unpredictable with axe and driver and chaser and stones. Reka, who was killed on the field of battle by Nimrod's guard. Reka, whose eyes whitened as the eyes of the blind and spoke with the voice of a Dark One. Reka, whose Dark Ones changed his form so he became a different giant. Reka, who had the eyes of certain death. Reka's army was 425 giants.
Huh. That's the same size as Tallow's.
Yep. Well, there's another almost 1,000 there.
Yeah.
850.
Amak, who commanded the Dark Ones, or that's M-O, or is it M-O?
Yeah, Amok, or I thought it was Amok would be good.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Amok, commanded the Dark Ones. Amok, who could say, go and wound that giant, and then the Dark Ones would go wound him. Amok, who commanded the Dark Ones from the high places as Org stretched his arms over the field of battle. Amok, who said, Follow the earth, has great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices. Behold, to open yourself up to the Dark One. And it is greater than sacrifice. You know, all these burnt offerings to a Baal, and whether they say Baal of the moon, Baal of the sun, Baal of the earth, Baal, Baals must be, what they call an infinite creator, or infinite mind,
Yeah.
And, but it was man that liked to burn offerings.
That is true. That is true. Okay. To be connected to a Dark One is better than fat of a lamb. If your witchcraft, iniquity, and idolatry please your God, Baal of the earth, Amok's army was 1,000 giants. Virak, the perfect, whose vestige was beautiful and whose received favor throughout the kingdom because of his pleasant appearance. Virak, servant of Baal of the sun, Virak, who raided Nimrod's castle and rushed on the spoil and took sheep, oxen, and cattle and slaughtered them on the ground. And then his army ate them in the stores, blood, bones, and all. Virak, who could call rocks and boulders to fall from the sky from ball of the sun. Virach, whose flowing flaxen hair became the easy target of the Nephilim, and he was severed in half after many wounds by a greater circumcised Nephilim. Virach, who had the eyes of certain death. Virach's army was 500 giants.
Wow, and they couldn't protect him.
He was severed in half. What can you do with that?
Yeah. Indigon, the possessed Indigon, whose dark ones would seize him and change his shape. Indigon, who spoke unintelligibly because of the dark ones in him. Indigon, whose 7 braids had never been trimmed or cut. Indigon, servant of Mot. Indigon, who, when the battle became intense, he was severely wounded by the archers, asked his army to run him through with his sword, screaming, lest these circumcised giants come to torture or abuse me. Indigon's army was 200 giants. Wow.
2,000 giants.
2,000 giants, yeah.
He had a big ass army.
Yeah, he did.
That's a big one. Most of them were 500 there, or 1,000. He's the biggest one so far. Now we got Merihim, who had an extra arm growing from his chest that was useless. Merihim, who practiced the dark witchcraft of Baal of the earth that could change the species of any living beast. Merihim, who foretold the coming of the great waters. Merihim, of whom the dark ones moved around and through so much so that he appeared as within a plague of locusts. Merihim, who cut his hair at the end of every 5 years because it was heavy and hang on, I gotta turn the page, a burden upon him. Merihim, who had the eyes of certain death. Merihim's army was 2,000 giants.
2,000.
He had 2,000 too, didn't he?
Uh-huh. Now I'm waiting for the page.
Got it?
Yeah, it ain't updated on my screen yet.
Oh.
It's 31, isn't it?
Yeah, upcuss. Upsucus.
Upcussed.
Yeah.
Whose skin and limbs were white as snow because he was a leper. Upcussed, whose hair had turned white on his sores, and the sores were deeper in the skin of him. Upcussed, who worshiped Mot in secret. Upcussed, who with his fellow lepers beat the drums at the times of infant sacrifices to Baal of the earth. Upcussed, who lived among the lepers near the trees where the dead are tied and the dark ones gathered. Upcussed, who had the eyes of certain death. Upcussed army was 1,000 lepers and diseased giants. Whoa.
Wow. Leprous and disease. That's kind of gross.
Yeah, they had that back in too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
But you don't ever see it anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's one of those diseases they can kind of cure. It's kind of from being dirty and crap, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, I guess they didn't really care about that. Heck, they sounded gross anyway. So. Oh yeah. Well. Seems like the thing back in the day. Nobody took a bath. Okay, we got Skibar, the uniformed and stupid Skibar, who spoke. Maybe it's Skybar. Skybar? Skibar. Skybar. I think it's Skybar. I'd like Skybar better. Skybar, who spoke lies of the dark ones and the bright ones. Skybar, who spent inordinate amounts of time grooming his beard. Skybar, who was beaten almost to death in the flatlands by his own Rephaim army. Skybar, who was spared from betrayal and death at the hands of his army by Anak, the keeper of the bodies before Baal. Skybar, the uninformed and stupid, who died delicately after one slap across his face. From a circumcised Nephilim. Skybar, the confused, who lied with all his breath, for there were many that hated him, and they hated him with cruel hatred. Skybar, whose corpse was circumcised on the field of battle by the Nephilim. Skybar's army, who wanted to kill him, was 50 giants. Sounds like he wasn't liked at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. His own army wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then the other guy had how many and got cut in half?
Yeah, I forget what his name was. But yeah, he had 2,000.
They still got cut in half.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, you're up.
Oryx, who had started at the sun for revelation from Baal until stared at the sun for revelation from Baal until he was blinded. Oryx with long black hair, who Baal of the sun spoke directly to. Blind Oryx, who was carried into battle and commanded his army from his chase. Oryx, who did call down fire from Baal of the sun upon the circumcised Nephilim. On the field of battle, Oryx, who called upon Baal of the sun as his rock, fortress, and deliverer. Oryx, who spoke of Baal of the sun as his, horn, rock, Baal of the sun in his horn, and refuge, who trains him to deliver. Stronghold and refuge, trains him to deliver. Violence, Oryx, who worship both Baal of the sun and Baal of the moon, and opened himself up to conflicted dark ones. Oryx, who had the eyes of certain death. Oryx's army was 500 giants.
Wow.
Whoa.
500 more. Okay, 35, 36. Oha, Ohe, or Oha, Oya. We'll call it Oya. Oya, the black Rephaim from the hot lands of elsewhere. Oya, Oha, the bread maker and worshiper of gods we did not know. Oya, whose dark ones could transport his spirit into another living creature. Oya, who attacked the Nephilim on the field of battle with his transportation. Oya, who raided the circumcised Nephilim temples and ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the blood of their drink offerings. Oya, who was dangerous and ferocious as he was strong. Oya, the fast, who had no use of weapons on the battlefield and used his hands to twist, thwart, and break the circumcised Nephilim. Oya, whose vengeance on the Nephilim was as grapes of gall on bitter clusters, served with wine that was cruel poison. Oya, who had the eyes of certain death. Oya's army was 500 giants.
No, actually, Deborah, that's those chicks that Robert's got beside him.
She talking about, I hear birds. Yes, they are birds. I'll show them to you after we get all done. I'll grab a chick up. but I got some chickens in the house and they're right behind me because, you know, we got the blizzard going on. I got to have them inside where it's warm. So there you go. Take the chicks, shake them or leave them. You know, hey, it gives them a little bit of background noise, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're up. 35.
Corinth, the hairy blood drinker. Corinth, who wounded his enemies and saved their blood in clay pots. Corinth, worshiper of Baal of the earth. Corinth, who swung a dead circumcised Nephilim as a club on the battlefield. Okay, I'm sorry about this.
Oh, okay.
I looked up at the screen and lost my place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a club on the battlefield. Yeah, I got it now. Corinth, who was told of his early death by the smaller self-sorceresses. Corinth, who then turned his forehead to the stone and sacrificed 300 smaller selves to Baal of the earth and was granted 100 more years of life. Corinth, who said to the Nephilim, why are you circumcised? Giants, fearful, O you of little faith in Baal of the earth. Corinth, who then arose and rebuked the circumcised Nephilim, and the ground opened up and swallowed many. And he kept his calm. Corinth, who had the eyes of certain death. Corinth's army was 500 giants. Wow.
He sounded brave.
Yeah, he had one of them circumcised ones swinging him like a dead one, you know, swinging him like a club, beating up other ones.
Lucky Smith says you need to say there are no birds. It must be on your end. Oh no, I got a hard one here. Enceladus. Yeah, that must be his name.
Enchiladas.
Yeah, Enceladus.
That sounds like Mexican food.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's where they got it from. Okay, Enceladus, the wealthy, strong potion maker and servant of Baal of the moon. Enceladus, whose dark ones of rage overtook him when he was drunk. Enceladus, whose potions could chain a dark one in servitude to a Rephaim. Enceladus, whose potions cause the drinker to see the future, tomorrow. Enceladus, whose potions saved the Rephaim that ate the sour meat of the circumcised. Nephilim, as cooked by Soltus. Enceladus, who was not drinking wine, ate sacrificial meat and hated his wise and understanding heart bitterly for no reason at all. Enceladus was the heaviest Rephaim on the battlefield. Enceladus, who drank a potion. I gotta move to the next page. Prophesied the great waters. Enceladus, who was a drunkard and a glutton, and came to riches, and his drowsiness clothed him with gold. Enceladus' army was 2,000 giants. Okay, I want to make a statement here about the great waters. Okay, now this is the second time one of those giants said they knew about the great waters. They were prophesizing, I think, the great flood coming. They knew the great flood was coming, which was the flood of Noah, I imagine.
Yeah, or it might have been an earlier flood too.
It could have been an earlier flood too, but they're all talking about a flood, the great prophesies the great waters. They're all talking about the flood, and some of them see it coming. Okay, you're up. 37.
Good night, Jules.
Jules, go night. Good night, Jules. Yeah, much love. Hope you get better. I know she ain't feeling so good. Everybody send her healing energy because she needs it tonight, I'm sure. And, you know, get some rest. You'll feel better in the morning. Okay, you're up.
Healing be on you, Jules. Okay, typhus? Man, that sounds like a disease. Typhoid.
Yeah.
Typhus, spoiler of meats and breads. Typhus, who Mustalus fed the armies of King Og. Typhus, who shaved his head after breaking a vow to Baal of the moon. Typhus, of which none in all Og's kingdom practiced wickedness like he did. Typhus, who never abstained from meat offered to Baal of the earth, moon or sun. Typhus, who drank the blood and the essence of things strangled through and from things of spiritual connection, from which you keep with yourselves. Typhus, who ate the sacrificial bread, and he ate the dainty sacrificial meats, served to him with the evil eye. Typhus, who said, meats for the belly, and the belly for meats, but I shall destroy both it and them. Typhus, whose wickedness caused the dark ones to attach to him, so that he always smoldered as the embers of a fire. Typhus, who had the eyes of certain death. Typhus's army was 500 giants. Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I always feel bad after they said the eyes of certain death, because you know he died in the fight. Yeah.
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 Wow, that was a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Who do we got here? Stolus, the stew maker, who spoke with the bright ones. This is the first one that spoke with the bright, or second one that spoke with the bright ones. Most of them are the dark ones, the dark ones, who spoke with the bright ones. Soulless, whose eyes were blackened by all that was vulgar in the world. Soulless, who was with Typhus, fed the armies of King Og. Soulless, who went on the field of battle, gave himself over to the dark ones. Soulless, who fed upon the dead Nephilim and cooked their sour bodies for Og's army. Soulless, who would only sacrifice an uncircumcised male, smaller self without blemish to Baal of the earth. Soulless, who could call large fecal worms up from the ground to enter and consume his enemies from Baal of the earth. Soulless, who had eaten the food served by the bright ones, having eaten their strange meat as a guest till his hand pushed the plate away. Soulless army was 2,000 giants.
Wow.
Apparently he didn't die because they didn't say he's seen the eyes.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
He was too busy cooking in the kitchen.
Okay, that's
Number 39. Maddox.
Modoc of the shadows. Modoc, who stayed away from his fellow Rephaim and lived in caves. Modoc, who heard the distant cursed the voices and obeyed their command. Modoc, who surrounded in a cloud of dark ones that covered him in a haze of Baal of the earth, which filled his cave. Modoc, whose prophecies were shunned because they were never of good, but always darkness of darkness. Modoc, who covered himself in mud, and his hair was heavy with soil. Modoc, whose dark ones put a filth upon all they touched, and made them vile, and set them as a gazing stock. Modoc, who had the eyes of certain death. Modoc's army was 500 giants. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and there are 500 giants. He had the eyes of certain death. Ipos, tormented, inheritor of Baal's kingdom, Ipos, whose golden flesh was pronounced with great muscular, Ipos, whose beauty could summon the lions of giants, who weren't homosexual, Ipos, whose dark ones would lift him and place him where he requested, Ipos, whose flesh had touched any and all unclean things to inherit the kingdom of Baal, Ipos, who conjured a lying dark one to confuse the ranks of the Nephilim, Ipos, who did indeed fornicate and was a lover of males, Ipos, who surrounded himself with male giants who loved him, Ipos, whose behavior reminded the Rephaim of the unspoken mistake, so that he was disliked for it, Ipos, who was a fornicator at a mot idler and effeminate, a thief, covetous, a drunkard, a reveler, a swindler, and a prophesies to inherit the kingdom of Baal, Ipos, whose alone had the respect of King Og, Ipos, who had the eyes of certain death. Ipos' army was 500 giants. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, that's next one, Baylor.
Yep.
And Baylor with black hair and one good eye. Baylor, who single eye perceived the weaknesses of his enemies. In battle, Baylor was unstoppable. Baylor's whose good eye was a blessing of Baal of the moon. Baylor, who only spoke in dark sayings. Baylor, whose incantation to Baal of the earth could move a mountain to the sea. Baylor, who said, if I am indeed a servant of Baal of the sun, then let fire come down from on high and consume the Nephilim. And fire did come down and did consume 50 Nephilim. Baylor, who's prophesied of the great waters, Baylor's whose single eye had no pity upon the Nephilim. For Nimrod's kingdom was Og, Baylor's army was 2,000 giants.
See, he saw the great waters coming too.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they might have seen that comet, coming this way or something.
They seen something. They had visions or something. I mean, they had this magic going on. I know in Wayne's show we've been talking about these spirit being things. What are they called?
Egregores.
Egregores, yes, egregores. And I wonder if these dark ones were something like that. That's conjuring.
Right. And you remember in the Emerald Tablets?
Yeah,
talking about the dark ones too.
Oh yeah, that's right. No. That is right. Thank you for reminding me.
Where Thoth was talking about these, they opened a portal.
Yeah,
allowed them to come from out of their density into ours.
Yes, yes. Well, Steve Slightly Slanted Stooth is in the house. Hey, Steve, how you doing? I see
Hey,
he's
Steve.
driving. So keep both hands on the wheel and stay safe. Thank you for showing up tonight. By gosh, it's a great night when Steve's in the house. I haven't had him on in a long time. By gosh, maybe you can make an appearance for Easter. I'll send you a link. That would be good. We're going to have a great show on Saturday night, and we're going to be talking about the Easter and true meanings, what your meanings are, all kinds of stuff. So if you have any ideas of why you celebrate Easter or what it should mean to you, please email me and we will try to put it on the show. Okay, number 42, Harneys, Hannies, Harneys, Hanris, yes, Hanris, the hairy priest of Mot, Harry's, who did not worship Mot in secret. Harry's, yeah, who walked with Mot as a companion and visited his kingdom. Harry's, whose dark ones were such that he, got to turn the page, and was a whirlwind, looks, and as whirlwind turns, Harry's, who swore thoroughly with his lips to only do evil. Harry's, who Mott told of great waters. Harry's, is that you? Yeah. Harry's, whose method of destruction on the battlefield brought a fear to the uncircumcised. Harry's, who had the eyes of certain death. Harry's, whose comprehension of the dark ones was complete. Harry's army was 2,000 giants. Wow. So he knew of the waters coming too. And he, he brought fear to the,
they must have seen it coming.
He brought fear to his own army, fear to the uncircumcised.
Whoa.
Okay.
And the next one, Botus, father of Baylor. Botus, whose wisdom was afforded by Baal of the moon. Botus, who spoke of the future, the nature of things and saw all unseen truth. Botus, whose heavy beard rested over his shoulders. Botus, who created a strange fire that lifted up towards Baal of the sun regularly. Botus, who pronounced a curse upon the circumcised Nephilim in the name of Baal of the earth, and 42
untamable.
Blurry over.
Untamable.
Yeah, female bears entered the field of battle and mauled the Nephilim till they died. Botus, who was beheaded and cannibalized on the field of battle. Botus' army was 5,000 giants. 5,000 giants, and they couldn't protect him.
He had a lot. That's the biggest army yet. 5,000. Wow. Okay, now we got Yatat, keeper of the smaller selves. Yatat, whose charge it was to determine the smaller selves to be slaughtered by Anzel. Yatat, of dark eyes and dark hair. Yatat, who lifted his eyes to heaven and saw the sun, moon, and the stars, and all the hosts of heaven, and he worshipped and served Baal in all those things. Yatat, who was close to his brother Anak. Yatat, who taught the Rephaim how to make war with the driver and chaser, and how to bend a bow of bronze. Yatat, who had the eyes of certain death. Yatat, who growled as he killed. Yatet's army was 2,000 giants.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh man. You just think if there's a such thing as the soul's reincarnation,
Yeah.
you know, you think those giants would have had souls too, you know? And if they did, could the soul go from, you know, one life in a giant to another life in say a little cell, you know, a smaller cell?
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, you know, how do we know that the giants had the same kind of souls as we do? Obviously, they didn't think nothing of eating and carnage and cannibalism and killing and magic and dark ones. They literally says it says in here, most of them were evil and they practiced evil and they wanted to be evil. I mean, how do you like that business? I mean, they're literally saying we're worshiping evil. We're going to kill and slaughter and do all kinds of horrible things. And that's a good giant. I mean, I'm serious. That just makes, you know, it's like more evil you are, better we are.
And somehow they're using the smaller self women to reproduce.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, Movac, you're up. Number 45.
Okay, Movac, who hated his fellow giants like a sickness. Movac, who prophesied of the unspoken mistake. Movac, who hated the giants because they should have confirmed the prophecy that would end their species. Movac, who knew the giants' time was short. Movac, who prophesied the coming of the giant great waters. Movac, who was consumed by jealous dark ones that caused him to scar himself continuously. Movac, who worshipped Mot openly and was a brother to Botus. Movac, who summoned unspeakable beasts of Mot upon the field of battle that killed many circumcised and uncircumcised alike. Movac, who attacked the Nephilim mightily until his hand was weary and would not loose the sword. Movac, who died as a hero of old on the field of battle. Movac's army was 500 giants. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
He
He's
knew
right.
about the flood too.
Yeah. He knew about the flood. Plus, he was consumed too. I think these dark ones, I'd like to learn more about these dark ones because that sounds like they got voices and they're contacting spirits. That's kind of interesting. Anybody else give me some info on that? I'd be happy to hear. Number 46, Jotun from the cold lands of elsewhere. Jotun, whose flowing yellow hair and piercing eyes brought fear to all who looked upon him. Jotun, who wore the pelts of unknown beasts. Jotun, who sacrificed daily to Baal of the sun. Jotun, who was able to arouse the anger of the Baal of the sun and call down large stones of fire against his enemies. Jotun, who drank a potion of Enceladus and lost himself to the dark ones for 8 seasons. Jotun, who helped to tear down Nimrod's high places of Baal worship. Jotun, who killed Nimrod's sons, whose names will not be mentioned to blot them from the earth. Jotun's army was 500 giants. He came from the north, the cold lands. So the giants were everywhere.
Yeah, I imagine they did cover the earth. Did you see some of those on Mud Fossil though?
Yep.
I mean, he's talking like some of them 3 miles tall.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, he could walk down New York City nowadays and just step on people just like they're bugs.
Yep.
Yeah. Gone to Gantua from the cold lands elsewhere. Gantua, who wrestled mightily with the great beast of the blood pits of Baal of the earth. Gantua, who called down fire from Baal of the sun and did not receive it. Gantua, who worshipped Baal in a wrong fashion and was promised every abomination before death. Gantua, while strong of flesh, was weak of spirit and mind. Gantua, of whom the dark ones avoided. Gantua, who was caught, his eyes gouged and chained to a stone and lashed and abused by the Nephilim until he was dead. Gantua's army was 500 giants.
Wow. Another 500 giants.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Number 48. Yeah, Lucky Smith says he'll contact the dark ones. He will try. Hey, it's not that I want to contact the dark ones. I want to know what's the difference between the dark ones and the light ones, or the bright ones. He called them the bright ones. It was the bright ones and the dark ones. And why, the question is why were the giants so in tune with the dark ones versus the bright ones? And even though some of the giants were in tune with the bright ones. Now, I mean, what are these beings, the bright ones and the dark ones? And I imagine they are still here today. The question is why, and how do we distinguish between the two? That's a good reason, because some of these, why did the giants contact the dark ones to do their bidding instead of the bright ones? That's even better. Why did the giants contact the dark ones all the time? Or maybe it was just the Rephaim that were contacting the dark ones, and the Nephilim were contacting the bright ones. See, that's the confusing part. You know, and who really won the battle? In the end, did the Nephilim win or did the Rephaim win? It's a good question. It's almost like light versus dark kind of thing. Anyway, back to the story. Number 48, Nibos, the black giant from the hotlands. You know, it's always the black giants come from the hotlands. Nibos, the black giant from the hotlands of elsewhere. Nibos, who escaped capture from Nimrod's army. Nibos, who preferred a sword to an axe. Nibos, who collected 3,000 removed Nephilim heads from the fields and burned them in the high places to the gods we did not know. So he came from somewhere else too, according to the rituals of the nation from which he'd come. Nibos, whose dark ones stood beside him as trees, walking. Nibos, who shaped the shores of the great land with stones and sand. Nibos, whose foreign gods told of the great waters to come. Nibos' army was 1,000 giants. See, here's another one. This guy came from somewhere else too. So It just tells me that these giants were originally from somewhere else. They were not originally here developing.
On the Earth, you mean?
Yes.
From another planet.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of how we got here. You know, just that we got here a little later, because it says the giants were here and then they discovered the smaller cells. Well,
I wondered about that myself, you know. And also, you know, the dinosaurs, I think there was probably some intelligent species of dinosaurs.
Could have
You
been,
know?
but could have been, but the giants killed them all off. Right?
Yeah, they may have.
All right, 49. You're up. Sao. Something like that.
49.
Yep. Sao.
Sawa, the black,
Sao.
long-haired giant from the hot lands of elsewhere. Sawa, or Sao, brother of Nibios. Sao, possessed by a powerful dark one, who would change his form into an abomination for days upon end. Sao, whose madness was corrupted on the field of battle. Sao, whose warfare made no discernible sense. Sao, whose heavy dark hair just whose warfare made no discernible sense. Sao, whose heavy dark hair was magnificent to all who saw it. Sao, who held fast to the gods we did not know and would not depart from them. Sao, who dragged the dead bodies of Stylus for food. Sao, who had the eyes of certain death. Sao, who died at the hands and weapons of the circumcised. Sao's army was 1,000 giants. Man, I tell you, that must have been one hell of a battle because, you know, even when you got 2,000 giant army, you know, they can't protect you and keep you alive, you know?
Yep. Remember, there was 100,000 of them all together. Can you imagine 100,000 giant guys? Whew, must have been, the field of battle must have been just so loud.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet that was
their screams, their yells. Boy. Isdubar of golden skin and black eyes. Isdubar, who sacrificed all of his offspring to Baal of the sun before the unspoken mistake. Isdubar, who practiced all of the soothsaying, witchcraft, and openness to the dark ones that he could muster. Isdubar, who created potions with Enceladus that caused the giants to see the future of tomorrow. Isdubar, of whom there had been no giant like him before, and who worshiped Baal of the sun with all his soul and with all of his might, according to the laws of the kingdom. Isdubar, who foretold of the great waters to come. Isdubar, who had the eyes of certain death. Isdubar army was 500 giants. So he could see the great waters coming too.
Yeah.
But he also, enlisted the dark ones. And it does say, did you hear that part? It says his soul. So he had a soul. Maybe he gave his soul to the dark ones for all the powers. You never know. Maybe that was a trick. He was given these giants gave their souls to the dark ones so they could get all the power.
Yep. It'd be kind of like possession or something,
Yeah. Well,
things just never change,
I was watching the 70s show, so funny. And they were talking there, and what's his name says something about, what wouldn't you do for would you sell your soul, Kelso? He says, would you, the guy says, hey, would you sell your soul to get that van? And he says, hell yeah, I never use it anyway. Yeah, Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
How silly. How silly.
Yeah.
It was funny. If you see that episode, go watch it. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
man.
Okay. All right, which one are we on? Oh, okay. You're up 50.
At Danaba?
Danava.
Danaba?
Danava. Yep.
The golden skin and black eyes. Danaba, whose dark eyes protected him from arrows and spears. Dark ones. Whose dark ones? That's what that is.
Yep.
It's blurry.
Sorry.
Danaba, whose madness caused him to run headlong into battle. Danaba, whose attack the circumcised Nephilim with fingers and teeth. Danaba, who consulted a medium of Mott for guidance. Danaba, whose staff was infused by the power of Baal of the sun, so that all who touched it were healed from various wounds. Danaba, who walked with Baal of the sun as no other giant before or after. Danabal's army was 500 giants.
Well, apparently he didn't die. He had that magic staff.
Yeah, that magical staff.
Yeah, it healed people. Cool. That's something to be handy to carry around, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet the thing was the size of a telephone pole.
Probably. That's probably why we don't have it around now. It's probably sticking in the ground somewhere and nobody knows what it is.
Yeah. Or in the center of a mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Cressil of the warmer lands of elsewhere, Cressil of golden skin and hair, Cressil whose army and the dark ones made invisible, Cressil servant of Baal of the moon, Cressil whose dark ones confused the circumcised Nephilim so that they said, hang on. They said, I hear them, but I see no one. Cressil, whose army relentlessly killed and tormented the most Nephilim in the 100,000 giant war. Cressil, whose practice and dark sorcery of Baal of the moon within the great lands. Cressil, who had prophesied the great waters. Cressil's army was 2,000 giants. So he prophesied the waters too.
Yep, they knew it was coming. But, you know, they had some powers going on there.
Yeah, I sure wouldn't want to be the guys, the Nephilim on the other side. Holy cow, seeing all these giants with all these powers, whew, I'd be scared to death.
Yeah, I think if I was a little self back then, I'd have been down on the ground somewhere.
Yeah.
Hiding.
You just get stepped on.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet they were running like ants too.
Probably.
Scattering like ants. All right.
Okay.
The next one's 53 then. Tiamat.
Yep.
Where do we know that one from?
That's that planet, you know, Tiamat. This is Tiamat.
Yeah.
This is Tiamat.
The lands along Tiamat, of the lands along the waters, Tiamat, whose body was covered with scars and from struggles with water creatures. Tiamat, whose presence brought fear into the hearts of the giants who had seen him in battle before. Tiamat, who screamed at his army that Baal of the moon was great and greatly to be feared above all other gods. Tiamat, whose army argued about the stature of Baal of the moon. He and called down ice from the sky upon 100 of his own giants. Tiamat's army was 500 giants.
Oh man, he destroyed some of his own army. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. That sounds kind of familiar, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, 54. So cool. The prophet of Mott. So cool. He's got a cool name. So cool. I'm probably not saying it right, but sounds good. So cool, who never left Mott's temple until the time of the 100,000 Giant War. Zokul, of whom Mott spoke wisdom through. Zokul, who prophesied the victory of the 100,000 Giant War and the coming of the great waters. Zokul, possessed by dark ones that stood on his shoulders. Zokul, who was aroused on the field of battle. He so hated the Nephilim and lusted for their death. Zokul, who drank the blood of the Nephilim he killed. Upon the field of battle, Zokul, who was possessed by a demon and that none had encountered before. Zokul, who had the eyes of certain death in a possessed state, attacked his own army and he was murdered by them. Zokul's army was 2,000 giants. So what did we learn with this one? He was a guy from the temple. He was a Mott speaker. He was worshiping Mott, and he knew. Let's see, what else he do. He was possessed by a demon. Okay, so that means that Zokul was possessed by a demon that none had encountered. So there's a difference between the dark ones and demons, I guess.
No.
Right? Because Zokul was possessed by a demon that none had encountered. So that's
like dark ones were demons too, weren't they?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was kind of imagining the dark ones being demons, but apparently, well, then they would have called the dark ones demons. There must be a difference. There's the dark ones, then there's demons, and there's bright ones, and yeah. See, this is what I want to get some clarity on, because okay, Linda Brooks says Tiamat is the great serpent dragon, mother of primordial chaos.
Oh,
that's interesting. See, we got such a smart crowd here.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else is there? Michelle Can-Am Free is here. Our love child, Michelle Can-Am Free. Much love to you. Thank you for coming. Human men, maybe giant, super giants, just small enough to be with human women. You say you are okay. I gotta move this down, up or up. There you go. 55. You're up. 55. Atlan,
one of the two tallest giants from the furthest edge of the land. Atlan, who hounded his circumcised enemies day and night with fire, fury. Atlan, Atlan, who never feared and put his trust in Baal of the stars and celestial bodies. Atlan, who saw Nephilim turn back in fear of his approach. Atlan, who swung his driver and chaser, exposing the yellowing entrails, blood and bone of the circumcised Nephilim. Atlan, who twisted the circumcised Nephilim spells and curses against them with great cunning. Atlan, whose army marked the footsteps and lay in wait for the circumcised Nephilim, who would collect the foreskin of the dead Rephaim on the fields of battle. Atlan's army was 3,000 giants. Whoa! He was pushing magic up.
Yeah. Wow. So the Nephilim had spells and curses too.
And he said he's one of the two tallest giants. How tall was he?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. How tall was the tallest giant? And then he was the next tallest. Wow. mark the footsteps, lay in wait for the serpent. See now, back in the day they were collecting scalps, right? They're scalping people, but here they're collecting their foreskins. Gosh,
Yeah.
that's just gross, at least to my eyes.
It could have been ears, I guess.
Okay. The Theatin, one of the two tallest giants from the furthest edge of the land. Theatin, whose red hair, we heard this before, red hair, whose giants always seem to have red hair, hung about his head as a testimony of his strength. Theatin, who hated the circumcised Nephilim and unnatural burning hatred. Theatin, whose army tore through the Nephilim as lions tear through the sick. Theatin, whose giants set fires with oil on the fields of battle and attacked outside it. Theatin, who worshiped all of the stars and celestial bodies. Theatin, who broke the circumcised Nephilim's teeth in their mouths with rocks and other objects. Theatin, whose dark ones drove him to pursue the Nephilim for days without a rest. Theatin's army was 3,000 giants.
That's the biggest army yet, isn't it?
No, there was another one had
3,000.
The 5,000. Yeah, this is another 3,000er. Okay, 57, you're up.
Zachab, a hurler of stones and spears. Yes. It was said that Zachab could throw rocks and spears in his mighty arms that were as large as felled tree stumps, never tired. Zachab, who lived near the trees where Rephaim tied their dead. Zachab, who had a dark one so powerful that he could not be bound with chains, but that they broke as a thread of tow when it touches the fire. Zachab, who sacrificed the ball of the moon at dusk every evening. Zachab's hate for the circumcised Nephilim was the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Where we heard that before.
Yeah.
Zachab, who had the eyes of certain death. Zachab led an army of 1,000 giants who hurled stones and spears in battle. That's a distance army there,
Yeah. He was a strong one.
I thought
he didn't get killed either.
Yeah, but I keep thinking, didn't these giants have technology?
No, they had magic instead. They didn't need technology when they got, dark ones as magic. They're using magical powers. What do you need? What would you need technology for, right?
Well, magic is sort of a technology.
It is. So, see, that's the thing. We're going with mechanical technology, with wheels and gears and arms, and then now we're going with electronical technology, but we've been skipping because anytime anybody tries to do magical technology, people they call them crazy and stuff, so that gets thrown to the side. They don't want us to do magical technology for a reason. I don't know. So anyhow, we're going to do this one and we should be good because we're about 10 minutes after the hour.
Yeah, we read 10 pages.
I know, we're doing real good tonight. Ballast, the finisher, who slew all of the dying and wounded Nephilim on the field of battle. Ballast, who had stacked the bodies of the dead Nephilim in large burning monuments to all of the earth. Ballast, who it was said that dark ones favored. Ballast, the soothsayer, who secretly worshiped Mot. Ballast, who would force wounded Nephilim faces to swim together before they broke like pottery in his grasp. Balus, who lowered himself to the ground and attacked the circumcised as a beast of the fields would. Balus. Okay, next page. Balus, Finisher's army was 2,000 giants who slew the wounded Nephilim on the field of battle. So his giants went around and slew everybody who was kind of hurt and dying. Killed them off and burned the bodies. Okay, wow. Well, let's put a marker right there. And this is page 44. And oops. And we're going to start at number 59. Right there at 59.
Yeah.
Okay. So
well, that was fun. That's interesting,
Yes,
all that stuff, they had magic, like you were saying, they wouldn't need tanks and all that then, would they?
Yes. Scratch has got it right, I believe. He says, I believe the ancients were taller because maybe Earth's gravity back then suited giants. Everything was bigger. Animals, plants, structures, and megaliths. And people all vanished 12,000 years ago. Yep, he's got the right timeline too. This is correct. I've looked that up too. And the Earth had more gravity back then, giving things could be bigger. Now they also had more oxygen back then. So the bigger you were, if the plants were bigger, they're giving off more oxygen. If you can imagine a tree a mile tall, one tree would give off as much as a forest. So
that one. What is that in Utah or somewhere?
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower.
Yeah, but there's bunches of other ones too. But that's the thing is if there was trees that big, holy cow, and the giants were huge. Well, that kind of all makes sense.
That looks like somebody cut it down.
Yeah, it does.
It cut on top.
It does. Let's see. What else here? Divine Empress is in the house. Thank you for coming. Let's see here. Who else we got? David Castle. Nicholas Burnett's in the house. There you go. Sebastian named the Empress Moonchild in the Never-Ending Story, which is about the saving them from the nothing coming or the nithless through thought forms. It's kind of the same thing. There you go. Wow, they were copying the story way back then.
Wow.
Yeah. We have all different frequencies of beings. DNA is frequency, so maybe they could fertilize an egg with DNA frequency. Oh, that is so smart thinking.
Yeah.
That is smart thinking.
Well, when they fertilize an egg anyways, when it's fertilized, there's a gap, a spark.
Yeah.
They found out. So that right there, DNA, if you could convert DNA into an energy, pack it.
Yep. Yes. Yes. And if they could figure this stuff out by changing frequency in the DNA, you could convert the DNA into whatever you wanted. And man, you could do all kinds of things then. That is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, I think we went a long ways tonight.
10 pages.
There you go. Anyway, this was a good reading tonight. I think we got a lot of pages. We will definitely be back next week, right? Same time, same place?
Same time, same place.
Absolutely. And I hope you all can join us then. Remember, Saturday night, we're going to have an Easter show. We're going to have you all on. Hopefully I get a few people on. We're going to talk a little bit about Easter and how it developed and why we celebrate, and not only why we are all celebrating this time of year, or if you're celebrating, but why are we celebrating this time of year? What is the purpose of this celebration that they seem to want us to celebrate this time of year? And that's the big thing. And don't just all say, it's because of the Bible and all of that crap.
Well, it was a pagan. It was a pagan celebration before it was ever Christian, I imagine.
Yes, exactly. All right, see you, Gaza. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit, find out about Ishtar. The Easter thing there,
Yeah.
the pagan religions. We're gonna try to hit on a little bit at all. I sent out some emails to some people. We're gonna see if we can find a little bit about the mythology of the Norse mythology. Maybe Gaza. There you are, Gaza. Before you go, maybe there's some Australian tales you can tell us about the how Easter is over there. Is there an Easter? Is there what do the people of Australia do? Is there some tales and mysteries there? I'd like to know. I mean, it's a world away. It was kind of like separated. I mean, so it's did the Aborigines celebrate the springtime? Was it at a different time? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm going to have to look it up and do some research. But if you're living there, be a lot. You probably heard stuff I'll never find out because I'm only doing it through the internet.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I appreciate everybody coming and watching us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Love you all. And favor be upon you all. Prosperity be upon us all together.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Remember, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all, everybody. See you next time. And there we go. Woohoo!